Please rise and repeat with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Father Lewis Brown is with us this afternoon to give the invocation. He's from All Saints Parish in Corning, New York.
Good afternoon. Mother Teresa would daily say the prayer of St. Francis, Lord, make me a channel of your peace. In thinking about this prayer, she composed a like-minded one. Persevere. People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend building, years, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you've got anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and God. It's never about you and them anyway. And today I add this. Lord, guide our legislators in deliberating the issues that contribute to the welfare of our citizens, protect the environment, and unite us that we all may become better. Excelsior. Amen.
Thank you, Father. Very well done. Very well done.
Thanks very much.
Reading of the journal.
In Senate Monday, May 23rd, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The Journal of Sunday, May 22nd, was read and approved. On motion, Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the journal stands approved as read. Should I call for order or something? Okay. Presentation of petitions. Messages from the Assembly. Secretary will read.
On page 20, Senator Croce moved to discharge from the Committee on Veterans and Homeland Security.
Can I have order, please? Secretary will read.
On page 20, Senator Croce moved to discharge from the Committee on Veterans and Homeland Security. Assembly Bill number 7967B and substituted for the identical Senate Bill 3137C, third reading calendar 360.
So ordered.
On page 38, Senator Young moved to discharge from the Committee on Finance. Assembly Bill number 1407B and substituted the identical Senate Bill 3014A, third reading calendar 806.
So ordered.
On page 40, Senator Ranzanoff moved to discharge from the Committee on Local Government. Assembly Bill 6182 and substitute the identical Senate Bill 6731, third reading calendar 824.
So ordered. All right. Continue reading. Oh, messages from the governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Floor leader.
President, I move that the following bill by Senator Flanagan be discharged from its respective committee and be recommitted with instructions to strike the enacting clause at Senate Print 4215.
So ordered.
I also have on page 30 the following amendments to calendar 674, Senate Print 6835A by Senator Lanza, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
So ordered.
Next, on page 40, I offer the following amendments to calendar 830, Senate Print 7258 by Senator Nozzolio, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
So ordered.
On page 45, I offer the following amendments to calendar 900, Senate Print 5582A, and asked by Senator O'Mara, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
So ordered.
Excuse me, can you shut that door? Also, on page 50, I offer the following amendments to calendar 963, Senate Print 1603, a bill by Senator Bonasek, and ask that said bill retain its place on the third reading calendar.
So ordered.
Thank you. Can you now recognize Senator Gianaris?
Senator Gianaris is recognized.
Madam President, on behalf of Senator Stewart Cousins, on page 55, I offer the following amendments to calendar 1009, Senate Print 6884, and ask that said bill retain its place on third reading calendar.
So ordered. Ms. Floor Leader.
Now, I would like to hand up committee assignments. I believe they're at the desk.
Assignments are received and filed in the Journal.
Thank you. I now would like to move to adopt the resolution calendar with the exception of resolutions 5762, 5948, and 5950.
All in favor? Signify by saying aye. Opposed? The resolution calendar is adopted.
Excuse me, Senator Flanagan.
With the exception of bills 5762, 5948, and 5950.
Thank you. Do we know where Senator Flanagan is? All right, can we now take up previously adopted can we please take up previously adopted resolution 5? Excuse me. Just take up resolution 5948 by Senator Kennedy, and read the title only, and call on Senator Kennedy to speak.
Secretary Reed.
Legislative Resolution number 5948 by Senator Kennedy, honoring Lucas Elvira upon the occasion of his designation as recipient of the 2016 Youth of the Year Award by the Boys and Girls Club of Buffalo.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I rise today to honor a fine young man from my district, Lucas Elvira, who's the recipient of the 2016 Youth of the Year Award by the Boys and Girls Club of Buffalo, the highest honor given by the club. Lucas joins us here today on the floor of the Senate with his mentor, Joe Scarcella, who is the director of the John F. Beecher Boys and Girls Club of Buffalo. Lucas is well deserving of this award. He's served as a role model for younger children his entire life. First, as the oldest to his two younger brothers, Nathan and Nicholas, and second to the members of the Boys and Girls Club of Buffalo. He's been a member of the Boys and Girls Club for the past 4 years, starting with the summer work program. His work ethic was recognized immediately. And many days, he would be one of the first to arrive and one of the last to leave when cleaning up. The first thing you'll notice about Lucas is his positive attitude. It's contagious to those around him. He uses this positivity to bring out the best in people, including younger members of the Boys and Girls Club. At the Boys and Girls Club, Lucas has set up monthly visits with younger members to local nursing homes to interact with the residents, and he's been instrumental in organizing school supply book bag drives over the course of the last few years. As proof of this dedication to the membership of the Boys and Girls Club, Lucas was elected by his peers as Keystone Club president. As president, Lucas has helped organize several neighborhood cleanup initiatives, helping to give back to our community. In addition to his service to the Boys and Girls Club, Lucas is an outstanding student, maintaining a 90 GPA at Hutch Tech High School in Buffalo, where he's also a member of the varsity baseball team. He's been recognized for his work by being awarded the Angelo Del Toro Scholarship, awarded by the Puerto Rican Hispanic Youth Leadership Institute of New York State. Next year, Lucas will attend Medaille College. Staying close to home in Buffalo, he hopes to study sports management and wants to continue playing baseball. His dream is to one day play for the New York Yankees. And I'd like to recognize Lucas's father, Hector, who's not with us here in the chamber today. Lucas's strong work ethic is attributed to his father, who's raised 3 sons as a single parent. Congratulations, Lucas. Your achievements are already outstanding. We salute you for your support of Buffalo, your desire to stay in the community after graduating from high school, and to go on in achieving your higher education. We know that you'll keep focused on helping yourself and helping others, and we certainly know that you'll go far, and we look forward to the many more accomplishments that are yet to come. Madam President, I'd like to ask that this resolution be opened up for co-sponsorship of this body, and please extend the honor of the House to Lucas Elvira. Congratulations, young man.
The question is on the resolution. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. Mr. Floor Leader.
Yes. Madam President, would you please recognize Senator Griffo for an introduction of a very interesting person?
Senator Griffo.
Madam President, we're very fortunate today to have some guests here. I want to start by introducing an individual who is a friend of mine, whose grandfather in 1929, as a 19-year-old in Utica, New York, invested his life savings to start a business. His name was Joe Carbone, and today his grandson is with me, Alex Carbone. This is a family from our community who are not only successful business people, but they have truly believe in service to the community. They are very philanthropic and generous, and we appreciate all the good work that they do on behalf of the Central New York and the Capital District. Thank you for your service to our community, Alex. And I had the opportunity to meet, through Alex, a friend who is not originally from New York, but I think we may be able to convince Barbara to maybe look at New York. So today we are very fortunate to have with us Barbara and Jonathan Goldsmith. Jonathan may be a little familiar. We'll show him when he stands up. You'll be able to see him better. Jonathan has had an extraordinary career in television, but I think beyond that, what I was very impressed with is the causes that he has really believed in. He talked about not only landing the role that he has had as the most interesting man in the world, but some of the other things that he has done throughout his career that have been so important, whether it's looking at the Savory Foundation and their mission to protect and preserve the Siberian tiger, whether it is trying to fight drug abuse and work in the correctional facilities to be an advocate and to help educate. He truly is someone who is not only interesting from his career path, but from a life perspective. And I think that really today we are fortunate to have this individual as our guest. He was born on September 28th. Is that your birthday? Senator Little shares the same birthday as you, Jonathan. So I want to say today that he is quoted as saying that the role that he is most well known for is largely inspired by himself. And so if opportunity knocks and he's not home, opportunity waits, right, Jonathan? So his words carry weight that would break a less interesting man's jaw. I'd like to present to you today and welcome him to the New York State Capitol, Jonathan Goldsmith and his wife, Barbara. Thank you for being here today. Please stand and be recognized. Simply put, he is the most interesting man in the world.
No doubt about
and
it.
he will be available to meet some of the members and staff, thanks to the courtesy of the Lieutenant Governor in her offices here at the Capitol. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator D.
Thank you. All I could say is stay thirsty, Madam President.
Senator Peralta.
Can we now take up... Oh, excuse me. Senator Peralta.
Senator Peralta.
Miss this opportunity. Thank you, Madam Speaker. So the agency's rationale for the brand strategy was defined as, he is a man rich in stories and experiences, much the way the audience hopes to be in the future. So I want to thank Jonathan Goldsmith for being here today. And I told him when I saw him in the back that I am a huge fan. In fact, I stop what I'm doing when these commercials come on, because I need to hear what the most interesting man has to say. And I want to leave you with some of his best quotes. His business card simply says, "I'll call you." When he went to Spain, he chased the bulls. He can speak French and Russian. He gave his father the talk. His passport requires no picture. When he drives a car off a lot, its price increases in value. Once a rattlesnake bit him, and after 5 days of excruciating pain, the snake finally died. His Cinco de Mayo party starts on the 8th of March. His feet don't get blisters, but his shoes do. He once went to a psychic to warn her. If he were to punch you in the face, you would have to fight off a strong urge to thank him. Superman has pajamas with his logo. His tears can cure cancer. Too bad he never cries. The circus ran away to join him. He once brought a knife to a gunfight just to even the odds. He once won a staring contest with his own reflection. He can kill 2 stones with 1 bird. Sharks have a week dedicated to him. He lives vicariously through himself. He bowls overhand. Bigfoot is trying to get pictures of him. He once had an awkward moment just to see what it feels like. Mosquitoes refuse to bite him, purely out of respect. His shadow has been on the best dressed list twice. When in Rome, they do as he does. His pillow is cool on both sides. Presidents take his birthday off. His shirts never wrinkle. If you were to pat him on the back, if he were to pat you on the back, you would list it on your resume. He has inside jokes with people he never met. His enemies put his name down in case of an emergency. So all I have to say with that is, thank you, Jonathan Goldsmith. Stay thirsty, my friends. Stay thirsty.
Mr. Floor Leader.
Yes, we have one other introduction, I believe. Senator Savino, would you please call on her?
Senator Savino.
Thank you. I'm here. I'm hopping around today. Thank you, Madam President. I would like all of my colleagues to join me in welcoming a very special young lady here to the chamber today. She's not just special because she comes from Staten Island, and she does, born and raised in Staten Island. She is special for many reasons, not just because she has a crown on her head. Miss New York is joining us here today, Jamie Lynn Macchia. As I said, she is a lifelong Staten Islander. She won the Miss New York contest last June 6th, so she's approaching the end of her reign. She has spent the better part of her time fighting for raising awareness for pediatric cancer and leukemia, and she's dedicated most of her time to raising awareness of childhood cancers. And in fact, when she ends her reign, she is going to go back to Staten Island. She's going to be working at Staten Island University Hospital, helping to raise money for childhood cancer. She's a remarkable young woman. She's an example of the best of Staten Island and the best of New York, and we welcome you to the chamber, Jamie Lynn Macchia.
Welcome, Jamie. Mr. Floor Leader.
Would you now please take up Resolution 5950 by Senator Flanagan, read it in its entirety, and call on Senator Flanagan.
Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution Number 5950 by Senators Flanagan, Klein, and Stewart-Cousins, honoring the distinguished veterans of the state of New York upon the occasion of their induction into the New York State Senate Veterans Hall of Fame to be celebrated on May 24, 2016. Whereas members of the armed services from the state of New York who have served so valiantly and honorably in wars in which this country's freedom was at stake, as well as the preservation of peace in peacetime, deserve a special salute from this legislative body. And whereas, attended to such concern and in full accord with its long-standing tradition, this legislative body is justly proud to honor the distinguished veterans from the state of New York upon the occasion of their induction into the New York State Senate Veterans Hall of Fame to be celebrated on May 24, 2016. And whereas the New York State Senate Veterans Hall of Fame inductees are members of any branch of the United States Armed Forces, which include Army, Navy, Coast Guard, Air Force, and Marine Corps. These exceptional men and women are chosen from this prestigious honor based on either service in combat or notable work performed after discharge from the service. And whereas the 2016 inductees include William B. Allendorf, Ronald Basham, Walter Bridgers, Joe Robert Brown, Eugene Jean Birch, Rosetta Burke, Willie Burks, Julixa Capusano, Clayton Carpenter, Sidney T. Clark, Pete Colombo, Douglas Condit Jr., John Condon, George DeLeonites, Rocco V. Donofrio, Johan Duplessis, Buddy Epstein, Lawrence Fisher, Joseph S. Forte, Father Maurice Fuchs, Diana B. Gaetano, Joseph Gallant Jr., Luke Gaspare, P. Earl Gleason, Tom Hoare, Tom Horn, Walter Hughes, William Bill Hughes, James Irwin, Andrew Jackson, Leslie Lewis, Dr. Louis Light, Donald Marshall, Robert Francis McLean, Phyllis Mills, Jim Malarkey, Frank Nicolazano, Joseph A. Pizzardi, Arthur Perlman, Vito Pinto, Frank J. Polano, Samuel L. Reddick, Carlton Richardson, Paul Rykoff, Keith Rivera, Paul Rizzo Russo, Maria del Pilar Ryan, Raymond A. Salvi, John B. Sampson, Wendell H. Schillinger, Ed Springer, John Stiegler, Michael Sassona, Kinda Thomas, Carmen S. Circiarelli, Richard Warren, Frederick Whedon, John White, Thomas R. Wood Sr., William Charles Wood III, and Jewish war veterans. And whereas the banner of freedom will always wave over our beloved New York and all of America, the land of the free and the home of the brave. And whereas the freedoms and security we cherish as Americans come at a very high price for those serving in the military in times of conflict. It is fitting and proper that we who are beneficiaries of those who risk their lives must never forget the courage with which these men and women serve their country. And whereas our nation's veterans deserve to be recognized, commended, and thanked by the people of the state of New York for their service and for their dedication to their communities, their state, and their nation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this legislative body pause its deliberations to honor the distinguished veterans from the state of New York upon the occasion of their induction into the New York State Senate Veterans Hall of Fame to be celebrated on May 24, 2016. And be it further resolved that copies of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to the 2016 inductees.
Senator Flanagan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak on behalf of this resolution, and we have interesting days here in the New York State Senate. Today we run the gamut. We start with the most interesting man in the world. And I have to tell you parenthetically, Senator Peralta was reading off all those lines from the various commercials. It would be virtually impossible not to have an inflated ego. And I was watching poor Mrs. Goldsmith sitting there thinking, I got to deal with this guy when I get home. Can you imagine what that's like? And then we come to Miss New York from Staten Island, Senator Savino's constituent. And now we're at the root of things that are all important and things that make us proud. And it gives us an opportunity to pay respect to our veterans here in the state of New York. Today we celebrated this year's version of the Veterans Hall of Fame induction. And for those of you who were able to attend, as usual, it was a wonderful ceremony. And I want to highlight several aspects of what we did today, but speak very briefly at the same time. I want to thank our ambassador in so many ways to the military. We certainly have members on both sides of the aisle who have served with distinction on behalf of our country, but I want to thank Senator Colonel Larkin for his yeoman-like effort every single day, every session, every year. He never forgets. He's always there, and we should be grateful for that. I also want to add, I want to thank our MC for today, a gentleman who is presiding over our session, and that is Senator Tom Croce, for doing an excellent job spearheading our effort, and then switch gears to talk about our veterans here in the state of New York. I was gratified and humbled to have a gentleman named Ed Springer, who served for 4 years. He became a sergeant in the United States Army, and of course he happens to be a constituent from my area. He obviously served with distinction, but what I found as a consistent theme, whether it's Mike Gianaris or me or Senator Kruger or Senator Farley, if you look at the people that we highlighted today, they not only distinguish themselves in terms of their military service, but I find a remarkable, and I repeat, remarkable consistency that when they get home, they don't disappear. These are people who have decades and decades of commitment and active service in their communities. Not-for-profits, firefighters, volunteers in every way, shape, or form. They are the backbone of our communities, and a lot of that is ingrained in them in their service to our country. And let's remember that a lot of the people who are here today were not compelled to serve on behalf of their country, but volunteered to do so. So I think it's fitting tribute to all of those individuals that we take a moment and reflect on the fact that, as I said earlier today, we're allowed to deliberate in here. We're allowed to agree. We're allowed to disagree. We're allowed free speech. We're allowed to exercise our religion and our faith, and in large part because all the people that we honor today. So, Mr. President, I would like to add my voice and just say thank you. We want to make sure that we're always paying respect to our veterans. And I'll tell you this, I'm going to close on this point. I know in my home community, and it's not every place, but in my home community, we have a facility called the New York State Veterans Home at Stony Brook. It is a state-run veterans home in the state of New York. And I'm so grateful and eternally proud of the work that they do, because it's not just Stony Brook. It's all across the state of New York. We fund that with the federal government. Is an exemplary institution. What we do on behalf of our veterans during their service is important. What we do on behalf of our veterans after they leave the armed forces is far more important. Senator Croce, your lead as chairman of the Homeland Security and Veterans Committee gives us a good direction in terms of what we should do. So I just again want to thank all of our veterans and to all of my colleagues for choosing people and participating in our ceremony today. Mr. President, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Flanagan. Senator Adabo.
President, I too, on behalf of the Democratic Conference, want to congratulate all the inductees in today's Senate Veterans Hall of Fame. Every year I'm so impressed with not only their service, I'm proud of their service, but certainly of their background and, again, their contributions to our society. All these veterans really are truly indicative and reflective of our state. They come from many different backgrounds, different genders, different ages, but as Colonel Lee Schillinger said at the ceremony, different on the outside. On the inside, they're all the same. The unwavering commitment to serve our country makes them all the same and binds them all, and for that we are forever grateful. As ranker of the Democratic ranker of the Senate Veterans Committee, I want to thank our chair, credibly served by Senator Croce, and of course being the MC today, and for your service to our country as well. And I think as a government, we have to show our gratitude in what we do for our veterans. I believe it's our obligation as elected officials to make sure that these veterans have quality health care, have access to housing, education, employment. I think this is what we need to do. It is our obligation. Our veterans have paid it forward for us in risking their lives, and I want to say that we should obviously pay it back to them as elected officials. So to our inductees today, I want to say congratulations. May God bless them. We thank them for their service. May God bless our great state and our great country. Thank you, Mr. President.
Question is on the resolution. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Opposed, nay. The resolution is adopted. Senator DeFrancisco.
Mr. President, could we please open it up for co-sponsorship?
The resolution will be open for co-sponsorship. If you do not wish to be a co-sponsor, please notify the desk. Senator DeFrancisco.
Can we now take previously adopted resolution 5454 by Senator Serino and then read it in its entirety and call on Senator Serino?
Very well. The Secretary will read.
Legislative Resolution Number 5454 by Senator Serino, memorializing Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim May 2016 as Lyme Disease Awareness Month in the state of New York. Whereas the health and well-being of the citizens of the state of New York are of paramount importance to this legislative body. And whereas Lyme disease is a common but frequently misunderstood illness that, if not caught early and treated properly, it can cause serious health problems. And whereas, according to the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the New York State Department of Health, Lyme disease was identified and named in 1977 when arthritis was observed in a cluster of children around Lyme, Connecticut. And whereas the Council of State and Territorial Epidemiologists designated Lyme disease as a nationally notifiable disease in January of 1991. And whereas Lyme disease, found in approximately 65 countries worldwide, is caused by bacterium and is transmitted to humans and animals through the bite of an infected black-leg tick, commonly called the deer tick. And whereas there are more than a dozen tick-borne illnesses in the United States in addition to Lyme disease, one tick may carry more than one disease, resulting in people receiving more than one co-infection from a single tick bite. And whereas it is difficult to diagnose co-infections because symptoms are very common, but co-infections generally result in more severe illness with more symptoms and longer recovery period. And whereas those with Lyme and other tick-borne diseases can present symptoms that mimic and sometimes be misdiagnosed as mental illness, depression, nutritional deficiencies, or Alzheimer's disease. And whereas infected ticks normally live on deer and mice, and the majority of tick bites occur in the summer months when ticks are most active and when more people are enjoying the outdoors. And whereas, according to the CDC, Lyme disease is found most frequently in the upper Midwest and Northeast United States. In 2014, 96% of Lyme disease cases were reported from 14 states: Connecticut, Delaware, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Hampshire, New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Vermont, Virginia, and Wisconsin. And whereas in 2013, the federal CDC estimated that 300,000 people were diagnosed with Lyme disease each year, while only 30,000 cases of the disease are actually reported. And whereas since Lyme disease became reportable in 1986, there has been over 95,000 confirmed cases in New York. And whereas over a 13-year period, Lyme disease was the listed cause of death of 9 New York residents outside of New York City, with 5 victims being from the Mid-Hudson Valley region. And whereas the current method of diagnosis recommended by the CDC is a 2-tiered testing approach. However, it will only test correctly 85 to 100% of the time, resulting in roughly 20% false negative results. And whereas Lyme disease is hard to diagnose because the most common sign individuals and doctors look for while determining if one contracted Lyme disease is a red bullseye rash surrounding the tick bite. However, this rash does not appear in a quarter of Lyme disease cases. The other indications of this disease are common flu-like symptoms and joint pain, which often lead to misdiagnosis. And whereas the Senate Majority Coalition created a task force on Lyme and tick-borne diseases to examine state and federal efforts to combat the continued spread of these diseases and make recommendations for a plan to improve prevention, diagnosis, and treatment. And whereas with the arrival of spring, more people will enjoy the outdoors and come into contact with ticks, the observance of Lyme Disease Awareness Month provides an opportunity for the state of New York to focus on and bring awareness to Lyme disease and other tick-borne disease to its citizens. And whereas Lyme Disease Awareness Month provides an opportunity to focus on this significant and complex disease, to provide information on and raise public awareness of its causes, effects, and treatments, and to underscore important education and research efforts surrounding Lyme and tick-borne diseases. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this legislative body pause its deliberations to memorialize Governor Andrew M. Cuomo to proclaim May 2016 as Lyme Disease Awareness Month in the state of New York, and be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution suitably engrossed be transmitted to the Honorable Andrew M. Cuomo, Governor of the state of New York.
Senator Serino.
Thank you, Mr. President. As many of you know, I hail from Hyde Park in the Hudson Valley, and our area in particular has been especially affected by Lyme. As the mother of a son who has suffered the debilitating symptoms, I have a personal connection to this issue, and I've experienced the frustration and the anxiety that come along with this disease firsthand. Back home, I've heard story after devastating story of people whose lives have been forever changed by Lyme disease. And in the resolution, you heard about the people that have passed away due to Lyme disease. I actually just met one of the parents a few weeks ago. Didn't realize that I knew them, and their son was one of the children that died from Lyme disease. Raising awareness for Lyme and tick-borne diseases is one of the single most important things we can do to stop their spread. The more people know, the better they can protect themselves and their families. Since being named chair of the Task Force on Lyme and tick-borne diseases, my focus has really been on education and prevention for the simple reason that awareness works. And how I know this is we all go to the senior picnics. I had a couple seniors come up to me and tell me that they were diagnosed with dementia. And because of coming to my forums, they learned that they actually had Lyme disease. And my own personal story, I know many of you know I had a brother who died by suicide 5.5 years ago. And not knowing, until I became the chair of the Lyme Task Force, did I delve into it. My brother was undiagnosed with Lyme disease for almost 10 years. So it really makes you wonder, because it does affect your mental health capabilities. So this year, to further awareness, we're bringing back the Take a Bite Out of Lyme Challenge. And I thank my colleagues that have done it, and if other people would like to do it, I have the limes, and we can take the bite out of Lyme. It's a social media event that is raising unprecedented awareness around the world. I've got a bag full of limes here with me today, so I invite you to come and join me. It's such a small thing that can have an incredible impact. I thank all of you here today for giving me the opportunity to recognize May as Lyme Disease Awareness Month, and I hope that you will join us in spreading the word. It's time to end Lyme in our state and beyond. Thank you.
Senator Little.
Excuse me. And I'd like to thank Senator Serino for this resolution, because Lyme disease is affecting a tremendous number of people in New York State, and the areas where Lyme disease is possible because of the ticks is certainly moving even more north as we go along. I'd like to talk about and share a personal story. And my chief of staff, Dan, who many of you know, was bitten by a tick in June of 2013. He posted his story on Facebook the other day, because it is Lyme Disease Week and recognizing it. And I'd like to just quote him for a moment. I have witnessed what he went through for all these years, 2.5 years. According to Dan, my story is like those of many Lyme patients. Numerous doctor's appointments, first diagnosed was Epstein-Barr, mono, then depression, anxiety, then B12 deficiency. Blood tests for the bacteria that causes Lyme came back negative, which was all the doctors needed to rule it out. 6 months in, the diagnosis was multiple sclerosis. Prior to the tick bite, he had had none of the symptoms that he started to experience once he had the tick bite. And those symptoms included severe fatigue, muscle weakness, loss of balance, brain fog, horizontal nystagmus, thousands of muscle twitches an hour, the sensation of vibration under his skin, like a cell phone going off and on for hours, hypnic jerks, inability to sleep, eye floaters, loss of hand dexterity, difficulty walking, muscle cramping, extreme sensitivity to cold and anxiety. Fortunately, Dan found treatment and is 90 to 98%, he feels, recovered. By putting this on Facebook, he has already received calls from people and messages because he wants to help other people. Not everyone has the kind of Lyme disease that he contacted, but it is so serious and it affects your life in so many ways. And at our forums, we have seen people who have gone into rheumatoid arthritis, people who have had paralysis, people who just have had their entire lives altered because of a tick. So very, very important. We have some great Lyme brochures that we have distributed. And I think that through education, as Senator Serino says, we can make people more aware to check themselves as also and to try to prevent getting bitten by a tick and having Lyme disease. So thank you for doing this resolution. Okay.
Senator Laval.
I rise in part to thank Senator Serino as our leader, our chair, for moving us forward. And as you heard in her own words, this is something that is very, very important to her and important to other members on the task force. I also want to thank Senator Hannan, who was the chair before, because under the task force at that time, a very important bill was passed to ensure that all treatment modalities are on the table for treatment for patients. And at one point in time, there was a raging debate as to what was a good treatment and what was a bad treatment. Doctors who prescribed one treatment may have been called kooks at the time, but now we have legitimized all modalities of treatment. In the 1st Senate District, that has 6 townships, this is a big problem. On Shelter Island, and that's the island that sits between the North Fork and the South Fork of Long Island, one individual said to me, and he actually runs the South Ferry, just going out his door and walking for just a few steps, he was literally covered in ticks. And so it's a big problem on Long Island, and regardless of where you are. And it's a problem for our animals as well. So the work that we do on this task force has been really terrific and produced a really, really good brochure that our constituents appreciate because it gives them the kinds of information that they need in dealing with this issue. And, well, I think we have to thank our majority leader for moving this forward, this task force, another great task force that is doing great work. Senator Serino, thank you for your leadership and the passion that you bring to this issue.
Senator DeFrancisco.
Yes, I believe this should be open for co-sponsorship.
The resolution will be open for co-sponsorship. If you do not wish to be a co-sponsor, please notify the desk.